It's another beautiful Wednesday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Mariah Afolabi Brown. Hi, ladies. How you guys doing?
Hi, Mariah.
Nima in the building.
Yo.
What's up?
Yesterday was an eye-opener for me. I fell victim to traffic fraud.
Ah.
What does that mean?
I was driving on the road and two elderly people, one wearing a lab coat like a mechanic, started screaming, "Smoke, smoke, smoke under your car." I looked at what they call the thermometer in the car?
Yeah.
I looked at it and it was not.
It wasn't high.
It was not high, and the car was moving. I drove it there. I was on the phone with my husband, and I was like, I didn't want to take them seriously, but they kept saying, "Smoke, oh, madam," you know. And then I decided to believe them and stopped to check. They just jumped on my car, started trying to fix one thing or the other. We're helping you, madam. What we're doing for you is very. We're trying. No, you give us 6.5, you give us 2.5. Only bring 200. Let's go and buy something. I was like,
Sha didn't come down.
Baba, I came down, but I locked my car when I said, Baba, as elderly as you are, what is paining me is that you took at least 30 minutes of my time and I'm rushing home to meet my baby. And you knew there was nothing wrong with my car.
Not fair at all.
The naval officers were coming. I wanted to put them in trouble, but what come on, no money. And I would have gone too far.
Move on to.
It was just painful.
Madam, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm enjoying letting my hair down. I think that it makes some people more relaxed to see my hair down than me being uptight and all very serious. We thank God that
Makes you more vulnerable.
True, very true. But it's good to be vulnerable and soft as a woman sometimes. We thank God. Tomorrow is Monday, Thursday. Let me tell you about Monday, Thursday. When I was a child, I used to be very excited about it because it's the only day when you take Holy Communion. Rather than it being wafer, it is actually loaves of bread. Really? On Monday, Thursday is the Last Supper. So you go there and tear your bread, you know, like remembering Jesus Christ. Yes, Monday, Thursday is tomorrow. And it's the beginning of the
Thursday.
Monday, Thursday.
Monday, Thursday.
And it's the beginning of the Easter holidays.
Right.
So we're excited. We thank God for Lent.
Sunday was giving all the sort of, I don't know where it came from, but it stopped, but we're evolving. And
It's watering down.
If it's watering, well, I don't know, but I just...
How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm putting my head down. Because I always have it up and it looks funny, so I'm putting my head down now. I'm in a good place. I'm still in for my kids, so I didn't plan for this, but then I'm happy to be here.
It's good.
Oh, really?
Mariah, how are you?
I'm actually doing well. I think I just discovered some. I started doing some new videos.
Yes, religious.
I think I'm going to continue it because suddenly I started getting lots of inspiration of things to do. Like I have like 5 topics already to talk about.
Whoa.
So I'm excited. I think it fits me perfectly.
I'm looking for trouble. Are you just discovering yourself after 30?
Okay, I am not. Let me answer that question. I am not. I've discovered myself. But there's this online craving. You have to have a video. You have to have you have followers. You're not doing anything. You're not saying anything to them. Do something. And I have no idea what to do. I can't be telling you I woke up in the morning, I brushed my hair, I comb my I wore my shoe. I can't do that. So I've been thinking of what do I communicate to people who are following me. So now I think I finally arrived at this.
I liked your domestic violence.
And I hope to continue.
Series.
Yeah, it was so lengthy. Even I got tired of reading.
Whatever, I read everything. I usually don't finish reading anybody, but I read this.
It was just, I just got tired. I know that's feedback. That's feedback.
You read,
so
and we liked it.
So I'll try to do some more. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, look at the front pages of the newspaper. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. We're going to start with the punch. Right. Our officials collected 3 billion naira bribe to rig the 2015 poll, says INEC. Commission suspends 205 officials, refers 70 to EFCC, sends names of ex-commissioner 5 recs to EFCC also. Right, picture here of the scene at the fire incident at Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria in Lagos. El Rufai releases Kaduna security budget, not security vote, says Dogara. Malibu, some people threatened by my rising international profile, says Jonathan. That's the story I wanted to take off. You failed your people. Sanusi attacks Zamfara governor again. Queen's College debts. Rep summoned 2 ministers and principal. Power generation sinks to 105 megawatts. I thought we were in 6 days supposed to get.
I thought exactly.
So sorry, 2 more stories. Whistleblower exposes 4 billion naira in secret accounts, suspect actual fees. Ile-Ife, 21 arrested. Indigenes sue Inspector General, demand 1 billion naira.
I'm in support of them. But I wanted to talk about Sanusi to the Zamfara State Governor Abdul Aziz Yari. The Emir of Kano was saying to him that he has failed his people, that there are very many Muslim states, you know, Muslim countries, and that when they have issues, they face the issues squarely, that rather than address meningitis in Zamfara, where over 200 people were killed, the governor ludicrously attributed meningitis to fornication. I would like to quote Sanusi. He says, his preposterous statement fails to take into account the fact that meningitis isn't a sexually transmitted ailment. So rather than just making statements off the cuff, that he should go and address his people, that he has failed them.
Yes. And he also said that Zamfara was warned earlier about it, but nothing was done concerning meningitis.
The governor was not proactive. I want to take his a quote in the papers here. He says, I chose to fight for the progress of Nigerians and suggest solutions to their problems. Okay. It is my duty to speak the truth about the ill effects of conservative Muslims who are harming Islam rather than helping it. Right. I'm feeling the governor so much because, you see, we lack...
The Emir, you mean?
Yes, sorry, I said governor. The Emir of Kano. Because what he's doing now, we've lacked as Muslims. We've never had a voice that's very strong on certain issues. We've always had the northern governors, when it's necessary, they are very conservative Muslims. When it comes to their families, they are not exactly conservative. We know the issues that, you know, are unamendable, that, you know, that you cannot legislate upon. They are clear in Islam. And there are certain issues when it comes to governance that you know, that you should be proactive about. You can go into them, you can legislate upon them. Nothing like health. How do you link ill health, meningitis to fornication? Right. When it's not like
let's move on. I was going to take the whistleblower exposing.
No, you wanted to tell us about Jonathan.
No, we'll connect it with the Malibu story.
Okay, the whistleblower story then. The government found, AFCC found 4 billion due to a whistleblower in Niger State. They said that the whistleblower, the money is allegedly owned by a former aspirant, deputy governor aspirant within that state, and they say it is alleged to be proceeds from corruption. So we're still waiting. The story for me, this kind of story shouldn't make headline because you don't have details of it. You just know that whistleblower.
They had details. They said money was laundered with 2 companies, which they mentioned. So it's traceable. And I'm hoping that they finished their work.
We'll get
and the bank that has the money, they said they tried. Now they went there. The banking officer, the account holder, the 2 of them fled. So these are investigations that have not been concluded, that they can finish and give us more information.
Hopefully, because we've seen quite a number of these type of
so they have
stories and nothing happened.
Conclude before you come to the media.
Right.
Okay. Don't jeopardize your own investigations.
Let's move on to Vanguard. Shell admits paying a tete for oil block. That's $1.3 billion Malibu scandal. El Rufai published security budget, not votes. EFCC seizes 4 billion naira from ex-Niger deputy governor candidate. $17 billion undeclared crude. House committee demands NNPC's multiple counts. And Queen's College tragedy. Reps summon education and health ministers. So the Malibu, you have that story?
Yes, so it's amazing how it's only the foreigners that are admitting to this issue of a major fraud within this transaction. But we know that our government are saying, like Mariah read, somebody saying it's his distractors who are against his progress. But the Shell spokesperson, Andy Norman, has come out to say that we knew when we were paying the federal government that this money was going to be used for political bribes. You know, and that what they were also trying to absorb themselves, saying that they didn't know Dan Etete was the owner of Malibu.
Or was involved in Malibu.
They knew he was a federal government representative, but they didn't know he was involved in the company.
Malibu.
So, you know, So these things are indicting both ways. For the Danitete, for him, you know, you don't use public office for selfish interest. These are things
when Jonathan was possibly,
they're
thinking of summoning our ex-president.
They're not thinking.
That's the House of Reps.
No,
because of this investigation.
But for his spokesperson said something, which I had to quote.
Him.
He said that how can somebody's assumption, because how they roped him in, according to him, by somebody saying he assumed that Jonathan got X $200 million. And he now said, how can you, on assumption, smear the reputation of a patriot, an international statesman of his caliber? That's ex-President Jonathan.
So is that
the spokesperson.
So is that international statement?
Yes, they're trying to damage his international rising profile.
Right, they've said it over and over again that there's no way this kind of deal could have happened without the
What,
president knowing what happened.
In his defense, he
You
said
can't make
that
such
he
allegations.
wasn't there when this deal was struck. This was
True.
during the Abacha period.
True.
So suddenly, how do you rope him? He was just the deputy governor in Bayelsa
The
during this
only
period.
way
How
to
do you rope him
confirm
in?
if you
should come
knew
and talk.
was let us trace the money to the last drop where the money drops into several accounts. That 200 million we want to know.
Mariah, as you are moving
Yes,
on, I
it
want to
should finish
quickly say that
investigation.
the House of Representatives has summoned the Minister of Education, Malam Adamu, and the Minister of Health, Isaac Oduwole, and the former principal of Queen's College, saying that let them come with their reports to tell us how 3 students of the school died. And they're saying that the Ministry of Health should go into that school immediately and make sure that all the health issues are resolved immediately. Now they are waking up to their duties.
No, they are waking up too late. These children resumed from the Christmas holiday in January, and this started. The House of Reps waited till April, Easter, to act. We should thank the Lagos State government for helping us to at least sanitize the school, enough for people to even go and write exams.
So, but at least there's some kind of progress in this. So we're moving on.
Specifically, before, when we talk about Queen's College, there are many other unity schools that all should be visited and the reports on them should be executed.
Okay, moving on to Daily Sun very quickly. 2015 elections, INEC exposes 3 billion naira bribe. We talked about that. EFCC also uncovers 4 billion naira in Niger suspects flee. Chibok girls, Cardinal Oneyakon, Chief Imam, join protest march in Abuja. Dogara tackles El Rufai, and 3 shots fired in late Navy Admiral's room, says police.
So we've been following up the Admiral story. Now they said, the police investigation said so far what they found out was that 3 shots was fired. 1 to the television, sort of like testing, then 1 to the ceiling, and then the other one was the one that killed him. So
are they still insinuating that he committed suicide?
Like he was testing out the gun. They didn't specify, but that was the information was that 3 guns.
But as a naval officer, he should know how to use a gun.
So he might not be testing.
So he cannot be testing. So he can't be testing.
No, maybe he wanted to be sure there was bullets inside. Quickly, before we run off, Dogara and El Rufai, they've been in the news and they're really trending. And so Dogara was replying El Rufai and saying that the governor should go and address the problem of Kaduna State and face his people, that he released his own pay slip, talking about how much they get, monthly salary, his allowances, his payee, how much is deducted, and said that everything comes to 346,577 monthly. And he said, however, there was no reference to how much the Speaker's office gets as security votes. So he's not releasing his security vote. He's because also claiming that El Rufai hasn't released his own security vote.
Well, one thing I know is that it's not 300,000 naira that
Morayo,
paid for.
no, if he says...
what's hanging there? Let me learn. It's not 300,000 naira that paid for the Nominalized cars, the Jaguar, all those, all the
that's where I was going to that.
things we saw.
So if they say this is their salary, we can start tracing their expenses, what they are spending money on. Can they afford it based on what they are earning?
We have to run off, unfortunately. That's all we can take on front page review. When we come back, our hot topic was still on Emir Sanusi. He's still speaking. And we also have another professor, Ango Abdullahi, to Emir, responding to all the comments he's been making recently. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. Emir of Kano, Emir Sanusi, comments on the North during an economic summit had begun to yield reactions in the North. At the summit, he said the Northeast and Northwest are the poorest globally, and urged the Muslims to imbibe education and not use religion and culture to set the region backward. However, The spokesman of the Northern Elders Forum, NEF Professor Ango Abdullahi, has reacted to the statement, saying he's a young man that should go and read the history of Nigeria. Meanwhile, some eminent Nigerians have advised the leaders in the north to face the truth instead of taking up issues with the monarch. Now, what are your thoughts on this? You can call us on 070-8066-8014. You can tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag your view TVC so we can read your tweets. So, Jumaka, do you have some quotes from the Emir? Yeah.
So, no, Professor Ango Abdullahi was saying to the Emir that with due respect to the Emir of Kano, the statement he made was misleading and misrepresentation of facts about the true state of northern Nigeria. You see, what I've been saying for a long time is that the north has advantage over other parts of Nigeria in terms of population, proportion, and resources. What I'm saying is that the northern Nigeria should wake up to its challenges like other parts of Nigeria. Of course, every part of Nigeria has its peculiar challenges and problems in terms of development, likewise Nigeria as a whole. He said, the north sustained and can still sustain the country.
All right.
Based on what his quotes, I don't think that the Emir said that the north is not economically viable. What the Emir was saying is that the governors are not doing their job, that the region scores low when you compare to the south and the west on education of the girl child, on development, and scores high on the negative things like infant mortality, maternal mortality, and these are issues that this professor cannot deny. We all see it. We don't deny that Nigeria is largely being fed by the north. From onions, tomato, if anything happens in the north, we feel it in the south based on food we get high. So we understand that part. But what we're saying is the statistics, the things you use to measure development in every society is showing that the governments are not doing what they can do with the resources that the professor says is abundant within the north.
Okay,
Okay, Tokwe just took the words out of my mouth, but let me add to what you said. And I'll quote the governor before I start this point. He said, I still believe that conservative Muslims are still stuck in the 13th century. And their claim that their children do not need knowledge other than Islamic studies flies in the face of reality. All the poverty, underdevelopment, and immense suffering in the north are as a result of uneducated masses refusing to learn, work, or trade. Now, the Emir's emphasis is not poverty as in lack of resources, lack of land, like Mr. Professor Abdullah is saying. He is talking about poverty of the mind. And this is abound in the north if you go there. The people, you know, even for immunization, they have to do massive sensitization up north. That because their government want them to be restricted in their knowledge. They know how to go to the imams when it is election time to get into office. How to divide on religious basis and say Southern Kaduna today, Northern Kaduna tomorrow when it is time for election.
He actually also said that the artisans, most of the artisans in the north are from the south.
He said
that the locals actually are more of beggars. The locals,
they go into begging
the development you see.
The governor, for instance, Yari would go to a mosque, for instance, and say, okay, and he will be seen as distributing sadaqah. And everybody will be commending him, governor, they give.
Yes.
Rather than, empowering those people and make sure that you don't have too many people begging for sadaqah on the road.
Youth should begin to hold their leaders accountable.
Exactly.
Yes. Okay.
Professor Ango Abdullahi also said, Northern Nigeria has land, population, and can generate capital. His views, talking about Emir Sanusi, are not that of Northerners. I believe many Northerners would disagree with him. There are many documented research that Northern Nigeria sustained the entire Nigerian state from 1914 up to 1974. If one tells me that there has been irresponsible leadership in the north, I can accept that. But that one is a universal problem. In Nigeria today. So the professor is actually even agreeing with Sanusi if he listened to him well. Because Sanusi was talking about leadership. He's not talking about that North cannot feed Nigeria. The North did feed Nigeria, and they have human resources. They are the most populous in Nigeria. They have land. And so if you leave them to be uneducated, as Sanusi is claiming, if you leave their women unempowered, as Sanusi is claiming, then the development that can happen and that happened in the past will not happen.
Okay, let me take this call from Timothy. Morning, are you there?
Yeah. Good morning.
Morning, Timothy. Go ahead. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Go ahead, please. Sorry.
So,
Yes, the
okay,
imams hanging in.
Let me quickly make an example. Yesterday, a neighbor of mine, a northerner, obviously uneducated, has girls. And this particular girl, she had trained. The form of education she knows is to train her to do her trade, make zobo, put ice block, go and sell. I know them because I relate with them. And as I was coming back home yesterday, she was greeting me. They had lali patterns on them. They had done lali day yesterday. And I was like, why do you have lali all over you on a weekday? They marry. They go home.
Who's getting
That's
married?
the young girl.
Yeah.
How old is she?
I'm obviously not 18. Obviously. So that isn't even the problem for me. The problem is the form of education she knows is what she has given to that girl. If as empowered as I am, I know that girl is not ready or empowered
Enough
to
for
go
marriage.
And
to
also,
go into that.
Another thing
not whether for marriage or for life.
Another thing the Emir harped on was the fact that with the northern youth see the northern leaders as God sent. You know, that's why a leader would always go back to God in every single thing. Oh, we have meningitis. It's because we are fornication.
The God sent factor also doesn't make them hold the leader accountable.
Right.
So when the leader does what should naturally be his job, it is seen as a favor because this man is sent by God to help us out. But you don't know that he's supposed to serve you. That is his job, to serve you. Also, when we have issues, the major issue on ground is that people are dying. You have a phone call, please go.
No, go ahead, finish your point.
People are dying.
Yeah.
People are not being educated, and then you now say it is a God factor.
Right.
People will believe it is God. Now, when meningitis is claiming, they say it's God. And then they will believe it because they don't know better.
Let me take this call from Aluko. Are you there? Thanks for calling from Agbara.
I'm here.
Thanks for calling. Go ahead, please.
Good morning.
Welcome to the show.
How I wish the North will have Sanusi like 50.
Oh,
God bless you, sir.
That's all they need.
If Sanusi is up to
That's what
50
Nigeria
in
needs.
that North,
alone.
the North will feed not only Nigeria, the North will feed
Whole of West
almost
Africa.
the whole of West Africa. The problem of the North is basically misconception of Islam, making Islam to play a role it is not expected to play. A rich man turning himself to a demigod goes to a mosque to be sharing food for people. People that you can just tell, okay, you know how to do shoe cobbling. Would you like to do shoe cobbling? Okay.
Business side of
Meet me
Right.
in the house. I will
Right.
get you something, set you up.
All right, thank you
This
very
is what is helping the Southeast.
Yeah.
Easterners know how to pick their younger ones, set them up in something that will push the GDP forward.
Commercialization.
If you can set somebody up in something that will cause our production possibility curve to shift, not just on a single line, I'm telling you, the region or any family that is doing that is helping the country.
All right, thank you very much,
Families
Aluko.
have not been helping the country because of their leaders.
Thank you very much, Aluko.
It is not
Professor Abdullahi, a professor, is educated. So he knows that the North has a problem of leadership. Does the average Northerner know that? Because what they do is look up to God. It's because you and I are educated that will be holding Governor Ambode or our local government chairman accountable that we need road, we need power. Because of education. But you see, when you keep your people in under empowerment, they don't know anything. They're not going to question it. So rather than the professor asking, which schools did he go to? Where are those schools today? What's happening to our unity schools? It's our leadership. So rather than him supporting the emir and saying that, yes, I agree, let's go and educate our people so that they can, they have the population. Guess what? Nobody in our system of democracy now can become the president of Nigeria without the North. And they are majorly uneducated. So you keep them low in that position.
Leaders, according to Michelle Obama, your leaders are only as good as the voters.
Exactly.
So only as good as the education of the voters. Yes.
So it is not for, like Jumoke said, it's not for lack of strength and land that the North is not as rich as they should be now.
Yeah.
What they lack is, okay, I am a farmer. I just farm and I sell. They don't know the business side of it because they are not educated. That is what the emir is saying. What Abdullah should have done is add his voice. So we'll have at least two voices coming from the North saying, this is how to do things. And now that he's not joining him, I think the North should start to change the way they do things. Stop listening to the old conservatives and listen to the young, progressive.
All right, let's see some tweets.
Like the emir.
Abdebayo says, change of attitude and cultural beliefs will profit the North, not religion. Hassan says, Sokoto leads in that perspective and their belief is there's no accountability in the hereafter. Fadile says, I think the Northern leaders should wake up to their reality and stop Islamizing issues. Proudly Nigeria says the myth that population in the north is higher than the south is not true, even before Boko Haram. This is a fraud. Yusuf says the Emir of Kano has hit the nail right on the head on the pathetic, impoverished status of the northeast West Nigeria.
Toko, you want something?
Oh, yeah, I wanted to just say that the governors must step up their game.
Right.
And the Sanusi has already made a very good statement. The professor also said that 45% of our GDP is from agriculture, and agriculture is generally a northern thing, so they have the resources.
Okay.
Governors should focus on using the resources around to make the money they need.
That's all we can take on this hot topic. When we return, understanding the economic recovery plan. Since agriculture is one part of our plan, we need to understand what exactly it means. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. President Muhammadu Buhari recently launched the Economic Growth and Recovery Plan for a period of 3 years, covering 2017 to 2020. The plan, which is the brainchild of the Ministry of Budget and National Planning, contains 60 critical initiatives expected to help get Nigeria out of recession and reposition it on the path of sustainable growth. Joining us to enlighten us more is the member, ICANN Governing Council, Dr. Deji Awobutu. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning.
So, based on what we read, this ERGP is going to have 5 executive priorities, namely 7% growth projected, right? Stabilizing the macroeconomic environment, I read. Achievement of the agriculture for food security, that's one of them. Now, that's just 2 of them, but how, in your own view, is this ERGP plan going to play out for the man on the street? Because we appreciate the 5-point agenda, which is, I've only named the 2, and I'll name the remaining 3 later. But how do you think it's going to play out?
All right, thank you so much. I think we should look at the person of Mr. President.
Right.
When he came into office in 2015, we had specific expectations of him.
Yeah.
Number 1, the fight against corruption. Number 2, security. Number 3, revitalizing the economy.
Yes.
Now, on the first 2, there is no doubt. In my opinion, he's done more than average. He's performed well by my rating. Now, area we're having challenge now is on the economy. And I believe it's on that premise that the economic recovery and growth plan was set up. Now, we might look at it from the point that, well, it has taken too long for the masses to feel the benefits of this administration. I agree with you. But we need to understand that when he came into office in 2015, there are lots of rots that the benefit of hindsight has made us to see as of today within the system. And it's not going to take magic or a snap of the finger to get it right. So, in my opinion, there are a lot of slows and delays. There's no doubt about that. Appointing ministers, appointing DGs and all that. Yes, there are delays. But so far to date, I can say the president is making reasonable efforts. I'm not an advocate of the president. I'm just speaking based on my view as a professional accountant.
So,
now,
have you seen the recovery, this economic recovery growth plan? Have you seen it?
Yes, I've read it.
When it comes to policies, you must agree that we've been a bit on the fence, as this administration has been on the fence regarding policies going here and going there.
Correct.
Over and over again. Do you think that this policy is going to take us to the promised land that
it's been promised?
Yes,
on the face of it, I will say yes. But I'm going to put a caveat here. The problem we're in now as Nigeria is being made by us. We put ourselves in this problem. We have great policies set out on documents, but individuals out there to execute and implement these policies don't make it work.
Okay. But some of the critics of this ERGP has said that we're going into too much debt. Is he all of, I mean, let me let Jumoke and Nima come in here.
Okay.
Because but I think it was one of the ministers, I think it was, who mentioned it recently, saying that why are we borrowing and borrowing to actually effect this new
policy, especially if you're even recovering a lot of debts, stolen monies. But you know, as a protagonist of the government, my own question, there are actually two of them. Number one is, isn't this economic and growth plan just to take us back to where they met us before? What do I mean? When the Buhari regime started, the dollar was 197 naira officially and about 200 to 216 naira in the black markets. Their CBN policy took the economy to the doldrums. So now you're telling us that we have a plan. No, is this plan just to take us back to 200 or that range? Secondly, they are very similar questions. It's a 3-year plan, 2017 to 2020. This regime only has 2 years left. I remember that when they got into government, they stopped some Jonathan projects. Every government wants to take the glory for whatever project, so they usually just abandon the projects of the previous one. So by the time he's leaving government, they may only have concluded 2/3 of this plan. So are we going to, is it just talk shop because it may be abandoned by the next government coming into power?
All right, let me pick from the last.
These are foundational changes.
Continuity in governance is very key. Once there's a policy on ground and this policy is effective, a new government that's going to take over from the current government should see the need to continue on those policies and that's not what holds in Nigeria. I agree, but that is the ideal thing that should happen.
The agreed plan by the former administration that was working, we saw that Jonathan's plan was working.
In which regard, please? In which
you win. They stopped you win. That's not correct.
Listen, let me talk about you. Hang in there. Let me talk about you. The minister herself said that when she got into the office, she loved the Ewing idea. She thought it was a great idea. But whistleblowers also. People came in to tell that they actually started the whistleblower initiative before the government now said, let's make it a bigger thing. They got people who came to tell them, you know what? Part of those who won these things were family members, husbands, wives, family, was corruption. Hang in there. They wanted them to go and they now carried out an investigation. And I realized that giving you 10 million naira, as Ewing didn't help a lot of those businesses that got the money. Many of them folded up. Some of them used the money to do other things. Some succeeded. So they realized giving you money is not the solution to your business. What they needed to do was educate you, give you the right tools to grow your business. Once they see what you do well in small things, then they now invest in you. So what they did was revamp Ewing, not stop it.
One of immunization.
I'm just telling you, I have the information.
There are many projects that they
speak to the government, but I'm telling you what I know on Ewing.
What I'm saying that they stopped. What I'm saying, regardless of that, you have explained the Ewing one. I'm saying that there are many Jonathan projects that were discontinued.
And they've gone back to them.
But what economically, we are creating foundational solutions.
So you're going forward that the next government will continue it.
I'm saying it's foundational.
Okay, yeah, I think it's the hope has to continue. A new administration that will come in should look at the policies and programs and projects on ground. If they're going to add a whole lot of value to the Nigerian people,
let me now go back to that list.
Okay,
go ahead, Nima.
Okay. Because you were talking about corruption and you were rating that by your rating, the government was doing well. Now, Jumoke was saying in her comments that instead of borrowing, we've recovered certain amounts of money. We actually haven't. We've, forfeited these amounts of money, but some are temporarily forfeited for now. We know we have to go through litigation, the judiciary to get these monies, legally forfeited. So that we'll not be abusing anybody's fundamental rights. How successful is corruption? Based on the fact that recently we got an acquittal, a discharge for the Justice Ademola's case, and the President Jonathan's case.
Mrs. We're talking about the economy.
Mrs. Dame.
We're talking about the economy.
Jonathan.
Yes, she said the money. We need money to fund. We're taking loan.
How successful can you? How can this, encourage this recovery growth? Because one of the strong point of the president is to recover stolen money
Good.
to rebuild
Now,
the economy.
do you know that if we take this scenario back to the year 1983 to 1985, what we are discussing now, we're not going to be discussing it.
That's true. But that's a
By implication, we're looking at democracy, fighting corruption, and corruption fighting back.
Yes.
Now, if we had expended a whole lot of this money that has been recovered earlier,
Yes.
then we will find ourselves in a different problem. And that's what we're saying. Let's get a final verdict as far as these stolen funds are concerned. Once we have it that, yes, the monies are now recovered, then the legislature has no option than to give the approval for the appropriation of these funds.
Okay.
Now, let's take note of that. Two, the issue of borrowings. In finance, we always have a principle that when you have a viable project, you go all out, rather than using your own money, borrow to finance that money, irrespective of the billions of dollars that you have in your custody. Why?
Yes.
Because you know that project will finance itself
Yes.
and return so much back to your coffers
Yes.
than using your own funds. Now, coming back to Nigeria, if we borrow to invest in infrastructure, if we borrow to
Which is what they're doing.
I have a
now,
question.
borrowing at that point will not be a problem because we know these infrastructures will have a whole lot of benefits that will yield in different forms to Nigeria as a
That's
whole.
what the
So,
ERGP
I have a
is.
question.
All right.
One of the plan of this ERGP, the Economic Recovery Growth Plan, so that people understand what ERGP means, is that they want to expand energy infrastructure capacity.
Correct.
Quote and unquote, in quote, power and petroleum.
Okay.
Now, we have been at this point for many years.
You can choose to be cynical.
So, I'm not being cynical. I'm saying that I've not seen the plan. I'm asking him that I've seen it, that based on what this plan is, and we've had plenty plans to revamp our power and petroleum section, that it keeps getting autumn. So let's say within the next 2 years, on their plan to revamp power, we know that power is, every business runs on power. Do you think that the policy you've seen can cause a change within the power sector?
Well, all things being equal, based on the roadmap, I can say a yes.
Okay.
Now, the next
What
problem...
do you want to do differently?
Now,
Sorry, sir.
yeah, because the people that will... The plan will not run itself.
Okay.
It has to be run by people. And the major of these individuals are civil servants. Fashola as an individual cannot do the whole of this. So once the individual at the ends of affairs dictates the tones, the individual that are working with him needs to agree with him. He can't sack everybody.
Okay, all right. Point
He can't sack everybody.
Let's take a break. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll still talk more on this issue. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Welcome back. So we don't focus on just critiquing the document, because there are some people who believe, like Tony Olumelu believed in this document. A few other people believe that this hopefully can take us out of these economic doldrums. But let me just highlight what part of what they hope that this document should do for us. As I said earlier, 7% growth by 2020. I think we highlighted the other, the power and petroleum. Improving transportation infrastructure, which is what you said, that we can borrow to build infrastructure, and driving industrialization, principally through local and small business enterprises. We just saw recently that CBN has created a window for SMEs to be able to get money. So we do see that there's some kind of foundational progress that hopefully that going forward, we wouldn't have to go back to these situations again. But why does it, I mean, as you said earlier, a lot of Nigerians don't feel this economic change right now. Now, what can we do, or how can you explain how we can actually feel these changes? What can we do to understand the changes the government is making concerning the economy?
All right. As government, looking at the administration now, the policy document is out there, and it's so clear. Okay. Now, what they need to do basically is to ensure the monitoring process is clear. Let the Nigerians themselves appraise the process on a step-by-step basis.
Gotcha.
Yes.
So if Nigerians knows the relevant milestones that is expected to be achieved, okay, from the SME's point, you are saying, okay, you can give money at a single digit interest rate. Let individuals try to explore that option. Okay. And if there is any issue, if there is any block in getting these funds, then there should be a line that they can easily call. This policy document is not working. This policy that you put in place is not working. You've said that agriculture, okay, if you are borrowing money at, you can borrow money at 2% or at 3%. Commercial banks are out there to make money. Do you think the money that has been dedicated or earmarked for agriculture will absolutely be given towards agri?
Right. So you're saying that we shouldn't just complain without testing if the policy is workable. Yeah. So right now, everybody should go out and search for this roadmap and see how we can take advantage of it. And then when it doesn't work, we can complain.
Like the ease of doing business that the vice president was trying to push. Let's try to see if we can start a company and try to see what happens.
Okay, I have a problem that I'm seeking a solution to, because once again, I'm saying that for a 3-year plan that you truly want to achieve, for a president that's been aspiring for 12 years, and you did not start that plan last year so that you will conclude it before you leave. So it's not cancelled by the next government that come in. Solution. Just in case this doesn't seem to be working, what do Nigerians have to do? To one, take ownership, because Nigeria is our own. If it fails, we all fail. How do we have to take ownership of this growth plan, economic growth plan? And how do we make it work?
Fine, thanks. Okay, I need you to understand that running Nigeria is not like running a local government or running a state. There are different facets to it. And the Nigeria that we talk about is a combination of so many states, which means that you need a buy-in of almost all the state governors into this policy that the federal government is trying to push out.
And the NGF.
You understand? So at that point, if you have diverse differences among the governors, certainly this policy document will not come to limelight.
Let me take this call from Yakub. Yakub, are you there?
I'm there, Mariah. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for calling. Go ahead, please.
To you, because of the time.
Yes.
I do so. Good morning, everybody. Please, I just want to correct one thing there. I had Jumoke say something earlier that before this government come into place, the dollar to naira is 190. No, I doubt that. If you go with, you will know that it's almost 300 naira then. So, and then another thing is this. Sister Nima said something earlier that we are losing a case in the court last week and whatever. We are not losing case, man. Because I have the opportunity to contribute to a program on AIT this morning. And then the person I spoke to is an EFC spokesperson. I had the same question. The same question. And then the man made us to know that they are not yet lost a case because they have already appealed all those cases. Good morning.
Right. Thank you very much. Yes, Nimo's going to come in.
Okay, I was going to go that. How do we get the governors to do it? What is the role of the governors? Because you see, each state should at least have something. They always go and say, okay, exclusive list, concurrent list. But farming, for instance, agriculture, for instance, is something that should be where every governor can key into. The northern governors know the strength of their people. The southern governors know the strength of their people. How can governors make sure that each state is having their own turnover? Bringing in something into this economic growth.
Zamfara, I read, has enough onions to feed Africa. And a Zamfara state governor isn't creating an economy out of the onions that his people are producing. So how do the people hold the governors accountable to use the resources within their
first? How can the governors
concurrent list?
It's so simple that you cannot give what you do not have. So if the governors are not sound or knowledgeable enough, don't forget that you become the governor of a state, not by virtue of the qualifications you've got, but by virtue of your popularity. So if a governor is not well knowledgeable, then it should have a simple thing. And what's that? You should build a sound economic team around yourself. That your deficiencies will not be showing out there. So if you don't have sound economic team around you, fix into offices, appoint on the basis of what they can do and what value they can add to the system, then you will find yourself in a big problem. Lagos State cannot say they have issues with economic team, because look at the caliber of individuals that surrounds Ambode as a governor. Then certainly you're going to see performance at all levels. So the same thing, and I'm taking this back to the electorate. The individual you elect into office determines the kind of leadership you get.
So local government chairman.
Let's take some tweets. I know that the NGF had said they're supporting this plan. The House of Reps, the Senate, everybody's saying, okay, we're supporting it. So hopefully this trickles down up to the local government and let us see the opportunities available for the people. Yes, Jumoke, tweets.
Oji says, good morning all. Jumoke, thank you very much for speaking my mind. I can see Morayo. The truth is that no idea for this administration. Abubakar says, so I will advise we all wait to see the outcome of the plan. And we should also be grateful PMB in leading us towards a direction. Kuti Malik says, left to industry experts, the power privatization should be reversed. BRF maintains that though fraught, contracts should be upheld.
Do you have any other tweets? Anybody else?
Omotayo says, this administration is confused and therefore cannot get anything reasonably done, especially with this very assembly.
Thank you. But Mariah, you said the local government elections are coming up in almost all states right now.
Unfortunately,
and you said we must raise awareness for this.
Well, we'll talk about it maybe tomorrow another time.
So
that's all we can to round up on the show. Have a lovely day. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.